All right, so I'm recording. Brigitte, I am so excited to have you on our team call. When I met you at DC Super Saturday, your authenticity, your story, everything that you said, it just, I'm trying not to tear up, but it really spoke directly to me. Having lived with in-laws or parents or something, I remember you talking about that, and then the struggle with just trying to, having with bankruptcy and all these things that you've been through. There are things that I've been through, and to see that you have reached your goal, to me is so inspiring. And to see the way that you dealt with what happened with your daughter this Christmas, and to know that you've struggled with depression, and yet you found a way to pour into others. And right now I'm struggling with postpartum depression, and it just made me realize like how much effort it must take, with the personal development or whatever, to pull out of that, to pour into others when you have those days where it just doesn't feel possible. So when I saw you at Summit, I was so excited, and I'm really grateful for you to reaching down and taking the time to speak to my team and inspire them with your story. So I'd love for you to share some of your story and what you've been through, because I think we have a lot of moms on our team, a lot of moms who have a lot of kids who have been through a lot, and you're just so inspiring, and I'd love for them to be inspired the same way that I had that amazing opportunity. So
well, thank you so much, Michelle. Like, I am honored to get on this call, and I heard from some of my coaches that you were on a call for them, and I was like, oh, I love Michelle. And so I need to get you on a call with my team, because I know that they would all just jump at the opportunity. You guys are lucky to have Michelle as your sponsor. I don't know if this is only person sponsored coaches or downline, but I know that she just has such a big heart. And so you guys are lucky. And I will always remember something that was pointed out to me, how you're never a prophet in your own land, and how, not that like a sponsor is a prophet or anything like that, but just basically how it's so easy to not take advantage or appreciate what we have, with our uplines, our sponsor coaches, and to think, oh, like someone else, what they have to say is going to be so much more valuable than what my sponsor has to say. So I encourage you guys to see how you guys are so lucky to have Michelle, that, she's a prophet in another land and you have her right here kind of thing. But thank you so much for that intro. Just to give a little bit of a background, my name is Brigitte Linford, and I have been a coach for just about 4.5 years now. I signed up in April and it's October. So exactly 4.5 months, 4 years and 6 months. And I started out, in a time in my life when it probably was not the right time. People always are looking for a time in their life when things are flowing natural and easy, and they feel like they have everything together and they can sit down and work on a business. And I'm really grateful I didn't wait for that time, because, things have drastically changed for our family in the last 4.5 years, because I was willing to make it the right time. And when we started, how I kind of got into all of this, I was a person who never posted on Facebook, but I would get on Facebook and read other people's posts. And I remember seeing this post pop up one day in my newsfeed, and it was from this guy who was posting about paying an extra like $5,000 towards his mortgage that month. And it had, I remember, like over a couple hundred likes. And I remember 20 of my Facebook friends liked this post. And so that's why it popped up into my newsfeed. It said, 20 of your friends liked this post. And that really stood out to me for a couple of reasons. One, I had less than 200 friends on Facebook. So for 20 of my friends to like one post, that was, 10% of my friends who all know this one person who I didn't know. And this post also had more likes than I had friends on Facebook. So it blew my mind, because I was lucky to have 1 or 2 likes on any one post. And it was normally my husband and my mom. And also the fact that there was somebody could have $5,000 extra. Like, we were making, I'll just tell you, $4,000 a month as a family. And that was with my husband working 2 jobs and supporting 3 kids, like both of us and 3 kids. And we were so tight that, I have this Excel sheet that we would track our expenses on, and I knew where every single dime went. There was no excess. I remember when my husband had a tooth die and he needed to get dental work done, we were looking at selling our piano, to pay for his tooth. There was just no excess of anything. So to think that someone had more money than we brought in an entire month to pay extra, I was just like, who is this guy? I didn't see as a celebrity or whatnot. And it was Scotty Hobbs. And I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he's who I signed up with. He's my sponsor. And I just I didn't click like or anything on any of his posts, but I followed him every single day and just typed in his name on Facebook. And I didn't like a single post. I never clicked follow. I never sent him a friend request. And I just was watching him because I was very curious at what he was doing. And I remember clicking through all of his photo albums, just true stalker form, right? Clicking through all of his photo albums, learning about Shakeology, seeing all of these transformation photos, and I was inspired. And so I ordered Shakeology from the website because I was not going to reach out to Scotty. And I started doing P90X that we had bought off of Craigslist 5 years prior and had never done. So I had a transformation, and I knew that I was a lead for somebody. I never was contacted. I probably would have worked with that person if they'd reached out to me because I was so fearful of working with a guy for some reason that I didn't want to talk to Scotty. But no one ever reached out to me as a Shakeology lead. And I just worked on my own, had my transformation, and I just had this inkling, I just really wanted to do this. I wanted to do this, but I'm a 2-time college dropout. I've never worked in corporate. I've never really had a job. I've never been an entrepreneur. And I grew up in a small town in Idaho where a big network marketing company is centered. There's only 70,000 people in that city, and majority of those, I would say 75% of those people work for Melaleuca. If you've ever heard of Melaleuca, it's centered in Idaho Falls. That's where it's founded. And majority of the city works for Melaleuca, either in corporate, in distribution, or they're in the network marketing company. And I was like, I am not doing a network marketing company because I do not like Melaleuca. And so I had this bad taste in my mouth of what network marketing was. And yet I just knew in my heart, that I just remember this one particular day where I was thinking about it, hadn't done anything, still had never talked to Scotty. And I remember thinking, who am I? Who am I to share advice to somebody and tell them what they should do and that they should work out and they should eat healthy? Who am I? And who's going to listen to me? I don't have very many friends. I just was giving myself all the excuses of why I shouldn't do this. And I remember feeling very strongly that it was because of my life and because of my experiences, not in spite of them, that I should do this. And that I would have people who would listen to me and people that I could connect to. And I just knew in my heart that if I didn't do this, that there would be people who would never get their chance. And that hit me in such a powerful way that even now I can't think about that without getting emotional, that I feel so strongly about that what if Scotty hadn't been sharing about this on social media? I never would have learned about it. I never would have been inspired without looking at his post to do P90X and to do Shakeology, which changed me and changed my life. I lost 35 pounds when I had been doing everything I could and running half marathons and counting calories, and I could not lose any weight. And doing P90X and adding in Shakeology was amazing. I had incredible results, and I knew it was changing me. And like I had to pay it forward. You know, I just knew everyone deserved their shot and their chance. And so I started coaching and never looked back, finally built up that courage to reach out to Scotty. And that was the message of typing this out, telling this person who doesn't know me, hi, I've been stalking you for 4.5 months and I want to be a coach. And what do I need to do to get started? And I was so nervous to hit send and send that friend request. But anyways, I did. I signed up that day and never looked back. You know, I was gung-ho, but it took me months to even get to being willing to take the first step, you know. Now, it's been a big learning process. You know, as Michelle said, I know depression well. Like, I have struggled. We've been through bankruptcies. Not to make anyone uncomfortable, but like, I had been suicidal as a child, you know, just from child trauma and just not knowing how to handle things as a kid. And, you know, just working through that. Like, I didn't get help, you know, for years and years. And so there were years and years of negative thinking that had been cemented into my behavior and into my auto response. And I can tell you, personal development has made such a huge difference. But I feel this whole journey, I mean, you sign up as a Beachbody coach and it's an accelerated path to learning and to growth, big time. And so as I was preparing for this, I'm thinking, what have I learned that has been significant for me over the last 4.5 years? And in that, what advice would I give to somebody, or what advice do I wish I would have known, you know, as I was getting started, or in just along the way that would have made things easier, you know, that if I would have known this, it would have just like, you know, hopeful or whatever. So I've thought of 5 things. And I'm going to go ahead. Am I cutting in and out? Is everything thumbs up if I'm consistent, or everything good?
I just want to check real quick because I have bad internet. If it starts getting really shifty, can someone please post in the chat and I'll hook up my phone and I'll use my phone internet. Okay?
Everything seems to be flowing on my end, at least. So, okay, I'm going to click share screen. And Michelle, you're the only one I can see now at this point. So give me a thumbs up that you can see my screen. Okay. So these are the 5 things I wish I would have known as a coach. Now, number 1 is to take care of the goose. Now, what do I mean by this? I remember this fable story that was told to me as a child and then relayed again in a personal development book that I read. And it was very significant for me when I read it again in this personal development book, that it is something that, you know, maybe just in that moment hit me so hard, but this is something that I see is the downfall for several coaches is because they do not take care of the goose. Now, what do I mean by this? Once there was a farmer who had a goose that laid golden eggs. And every day he would go out there and there would be one golden egg that he would take and he would go and sell it in the market. And he earned all of this money from this golden egg, but he started getting greedy and he wanted more golden eggs. And so he figured, okay, here's this goose and I'm going to cut it open and get out all of the golden eggs all at once, and so I can make more money. In doing so, he killed off his supply of what was producing the golden eggs in the first place. Now, guys, you are the goose. And it is so easy to self-sacrifice. It is so easy because if you are drawn to this business, it is because you have a caring, compassionate, giving heart. And you care. And I don't know why you care. There's just something ingrained in you where you care so much about the suffering of other people that you want to show them a solution and a way out. And that is something that is very, very admirable. But you have to make sure that you are selfish enough to take care of you. And I use the word selfish because that's how you see it. You think it's selfish because you want to give to other people. So you will burn the candle at both ends and you will wake up really early. You will stay up really late. And if you don't do every single thing, you've got this big vision of like possibility of what you can get done in every single day. So you create the insane amount of to-do list items, and then you're like, you beat yourself up if you don't get everything done on your to-do list. Now, like, I'm going to flip through this. Am I speaking to everybody, or is this like totally not you? Like, or is this like, yeah, okay, guilty? Like, cause, all right, just make sure this isn't just me. Cause this is what I did, because I care. Like, I remember thinking I was in so much pain. My life was so uncomfortable beforehand. I can't sleep at night thinking that there's other people who are living life this way. And so I just needed to talk about this, and I needed to share like the word with everybody and shout it from the rooftops. And I'm sure you feel the same way, but you have to take care of the goose. If you don't take care of yourself, you are cutting yourself open and there's nothing left to give. You have to nurture you. You have to find the things that uplift your spirit. Now, I use that word spirit, your soul, your whatever, but there are things that you will be able to identify, uplift you, and take care of your spirit. Now, it doesn't have to be like these big elaborate things, but this is something that I learned in a mental hospital. So take it from me so that you can spare your visit to a mental hospital here. Because I was in a mental hospital in my early 20s. And one of the things that they had us do is this exercise where we identified a list of things that we could do that made us feel good. And I want you guys to take note of that. So maybe not do it right now, but write down what things make me feel good. What things uplift my spirit? And just kind of take a minute to think about that. And, later on you can start making this list or whatnot. But I'll tell you, for me, making that list, it was things like perfume. I am such a smells are so big for me that if I can wear perfume every day, just ups my spirit a little bit. Opening up the windows in my house, letting in the natural light any way that I can, turning on all the lamps, just light. Like, it makes me feel good. Lighting the candles, being in nature, stepping outside, that uplifts my spirit. Being around pine trees. I know a lot of people really like the ocean. For me, it's pine trees. Like, being in the mountains and being in the pine trees, I just feel good. What things make you feel good? Like, another thing for me are Epsom salt baths. I love Epsom salt baths and lavender, like putting lavender leaves or rosemary leaves in my bath, taking an Epsom salt bath, like that uplifts my spirit. It makes me feel good. Listening to good music. I'll constantly just have music playing in our house. Like, I grew up playing the piano, and so the musical piano background, like Paul Cardell is this amazing pianist, and I just listen to his Pandora station and have that going throughout our house, and that just feels good. What things help you feel good? Because you have to fill your life and fill your day with as many of those things every single day. The other thing I want you to identify is what doesn't make you feel good. What things bring your spirit down? And it's good for you to identify this. Like, for me, if I am fighting with my husband, like, I get that, like, affects me in a big way. I've noticed, like, not eating healthy, like, I don't feel good. Like, I would sit there, and I remember that was so hard for me to finally grasp and hold on to, because I'm like, no, I really like this food and it tastes good, but then I'm like, okay, but I really don't feel good. Like, it's not a treat, it's not a cheat. I don't feel good. I don't want to feel that way anymore. So, like, things like that, paying attention to that. So am I going to feel better moping around and eating a tub of ice cream? No. Like, so, like, keeping withdrawing, I would withdraw and seclude myself and avoid friends, avoid conversations very much if I'm not, like, feeling good. And just be aware of those things, because here's the thing. There are triggers that come into your life, and you always have a choice. You always have a choice to do one of these things that helps you feel good and create a spiral upwards, and do good thing, good thing, good thing, good thing, good thing that works for you, that makes you feel good, so you can create an upward spiral. Or you then have the choice when a trigger happens and you respond in, okay, I'm going to close the windows. I'm going to eat my tub of ice cream. I'm turning off the music, and I'm sulking in my bed and not answering the text messages from my friends who are asking how I'm doing. Like, that's the creating a downward spiral, but you have a choice. So you have to take care of you. Okay. And that's a must. I see so many coaches who do not take care of themselves. They think personal development is hokey pokey. They stop doing their workouts. They sacrifice their own time that they could be spending actually planning out good meals and shopping for good meals and prepping their food and doing their workout and reading personal development because they want to send out 10 more invites, or they want to get on those 2 extra calls with their coaches. And I'm telling you, if you do that, you are killing the goose, and you're not going to last in this business. And so flat out, just stop now if you want to make this last. Okay. That was my first big lesson in this business. My second one is Beachbody is not the problem. Now, what do I mean by this? When you sign up as a Beachbody coach, we talk a lot about goals, and we talk about like, okay, where do you want to be in 5 years? What do you want to accomplish this week? What do you want to accomplish this month? What do you want to accomplish? Where do you want to be in 5 years from now? Where are you going to be at the end of the year? You're constantly setting goals. Now, a funny thing happens when you set a goal. It's like you now say, okay, this is where I'm at, and you're in full awareness now of where you stand in life. And then you pick a point. You say, this is where I want to be. And it's like you put a rubber band between these 2 points. And this rubber band is stretched tight, which means there is now tension in your life. Tension because there's a full awareness of where you are, which is not now where you want to be anymore, and where you want to be. And it's painful for you to be in awareness of, oh my gosh, I don't have what I want. I want that, and I don't have it. And that is stressful. That's tension. It's hard to be in that awareness. Now, is it good? Yeah. It's good for you to set goals and to be aware of your potential, to be aware that you are living beneath your capabilities, and to be aware that I am drawn to this because my spirit knows that's what I can do. That's what's possible for me. That's where I should be, and I'm living beneath myself. So you shouldn't be comfortable. If you are comfortable, you are being complacent. You are not living up to your potential. You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You should never feel like, oh, like you always be grateful. You always are grateful for your life. And there's a difference there. But you should be not complacent. You should know you're living beneath yourself. You have not reached your greatest potential. And that's a good thing. That tension is a good thing to be aware of that. So here's the thing. There's only 2 ways to release that tension that is now created when you set a goal. Remember, you've set this rubber band and it is pulled and stretched tight. Now, one way to release the tension of that is to let go of the rubber band. Give up. Throw your goals away and say, you know what? That was really, really creating a lot of stress in my life to push for a success club. And you know what? I'm just going to let it go. Or, you know what? Well, that was really kind of like a stressful year when I was going for elite. I'm going to let it go. And yeah, letting go of that goal releases that tension. And yeah, you're going to feel very comfortable letting go of that goal, but don't lie to yourself and say, oh, that must have meant it wasn't meant to be because I felt a weight lifted off of my shoulder once I gave up on that goal. That is not your spirit telling you that wasn't meant to be. That is you let go of the rubber band and you gave up on the goal. So of course now there's nothing pulling you to that anymore because you let the rubber band go. Of course there's like a tension released, but is that truth for you now? Is that what you're capable of? Maybe there are some, not every goal is meant to be for you. You know, I'm not saying that, but don't lie to yourself on things as well. Know that you are drawn to things for a reason. And that's your spirit, and you are drawn to things because telling you what you're capable of, okay? I encourage you to release the tension by the other possibility. I said, remember, there's 2 ways to release that tension. One way is to give up on that goal. The other way is to move closer. Does that make sense? That visual of here's the goal I set, here I am. And if I take 5 steps closer to that goal, is that rubber band not stretched as tightly? Yeah. You get closer to your goal, and that helps you not feel as much tension because you're getting there. All right. Now, here's the thing that I see though. When you set a goal, there are obstacles in that way, or roadblocks, whatever you want to call them, that you have to clear for you to reach that goal. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Those obstacles and those roadblocks are the roadblocks that are universal in your life. So if you have an inability to speak your mind and to own your truth and to communicate well with your husband, do you think that that obstacle is holding you back in your life in general? Yeah, it is. Is that like something that, do you think like if there's a higher power or a God, do you think that he wants you to be able to speak your truth and to learn how to communicate better with your husband? Yeah, I think so. So for you to reach your highest good, your highest potential, and to reach any goal that you set for yourself, do you think that that's going to come up? Yeah, it is. You're going to have to work through your issues in a marriage when you're setting Beachbody goals. That's one of the obstacles that's going to come in the way. So I see a lot of people who may have marriage problems and they'll want to blame Beachbody. They'll want to say, well, we didn't have these problems until I started doing Beachbody, and now we're just not really getting along. He doesn't support me. He doesn't understand this. And like, I don't really know how to bring it up to him. Beachbody is the problem. Or somebody says, you know what? I have an eating disorder. And I like seeing all these before and after photos. It's just really hard for me. And it's like bringing all this stuff to the surface. And I just think Beachbody's like not for me. It's creating all these problems for me. Or maybe somebody says, I have a problem with comparing myself to other people. And I see this recognition given and I'm not getting it. I see all these names on a list for a Success Club board and somebody else's name is above mine. That makes me uncomfortable. I'm comparing myself. I just don't think I can handle the environment of Beachbody. Is Beachbody the problem? No, it isn't. It is those obstacles and that story you have told yourself that created that habit or that belief that is being challenged, because now you have this opportunity to release it. Because any goal that you set, there's an obstacle keeping you from that goal, or else you would already have it. You would already be there. And that obstacle is the way you're labeling yourself, the way you see yourself in your body, the way you're communicating with your spouse and the relationship you have with him. Or maybe it's the way you're comparing yourself to other people and you can't own your awesomeness without being validated from an outside source. Like whatever issues that you have are going to be brought to the surface in Beachbody. I'm promising you that, because it is an accelerated growth plan. And so all of your issues are going to be brought to the surface. Isn't that awesome? Because it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Because I'm telling you, it's not just holding you back from your Beachbody goals, from Beachbody success. If you set a goal to get a master's degree, those same issues are going to be brought up. If you set a goal to join LuLaRoe and sell 1,000 leggings every month, those same issues are going to be brought up. If you just, it doesn't matter what you do, those issues are going to be brought to the surface, because when you set any goal, doesn't mean it's just Beachbody. When you set any goal, there's an obstacle keeping you from that. And it's time for you to work through it and not shrink and run and hide and claim Beachbody is the issue. Beachbody is the problem. Beachbody's brought all of these things into my life. No, those issues were always there. Now it's just brought to your awareness, which is a good thing, so you can clear it, okay? But I'm telling you, Beachbody is not the problem. Beachbody is not. So there's nothing to, I don't know. I'm repeating myself now at this point. I hope the point gets made. third big significant thing for me that I've learned is that my vibe attracts my tribe. I'm sure that you guys have heard this before and all of that. And yet people know this, but then I get concerns or people who will say, I have this issue with my team where they just won't work hard enough unless I am rewarding them. And I'm like, I'm dangling a little carrot in front of them. Or my team just doesn't seem motivated, or my team is like lacking the vision or whatever. And they're very aware. Sometimes we can be very aware. It's easier to see in other people than it is in ourselves. So it's easy to see in other people the things that are holding them back. And really, that's reasons why I like Beachbody. That's one of the reasons why I really like this avenue that God has put in my life for me to grow and learn, because I don't think I would be made aware of all of the things that I get to work on and have been able to work on and been able to improve in myself to be who I know I really am capable of being, unless it was through this avenue. But I just want you to know that when you're seeing this in someone else, what you're really saying is that's within you and you don't like it in yourself. My grandma is a very smart person, and she told me when I was a little kid that you only ever talk about yourself. She said, you're never talking about anyone else, even if you think you are. And I was like, I didn't get it. And she's telling this to me as this teenager who, she's advising me to not get into gossip. And she's telling me, when you say you don't like someone, what you're really saying is, I don't like myself when I'm around that person. When you say, like, you can see that someone else is like cheating a system or doing something unfair, you can see that because in yourself, there's been times when you haven't maybe been honest and you wish you don't like that about yourself. So those are the things that you see in other people, are the things that you don't like about yourself, that you are having a hard time coming to terms with. So guys, like, if your team feel like you have to drag them all along, then catch yourself when you say, hey, Beachbody, how come you didn't give me a trophy and let me walk across stage? Maybe there's a correlation there, right? Or if you're saying, okay, how come I'm not motivated? How come that maybe you're sitting there being like, I just can't wait until I can get to Summit and have some speaker motivate me. Or I need someone to motivate me. I'm just feeling down. Okay, well, I'm sure then your team is doing the same thing. Because here's the thing, as much as you try to hide your weaknesses and hide like those things, and you think you're keeping it from your team or from your coaches, that energy can be felt. And that energy is being sent out from you and is being magnified back to you so that you can look at it and face it and be aware of it and clear it. Because you can't hide that. You can't hide your beliefs. You can't hide your attitude. Even though you think it's not affecting anything in how you write or how you post, that energy is still coming out. And so when you're aware of something that your team is doing, or you're aware of something that is holding back your coaches, you look inward and you fix it in yourself, because that means there's something in you that is doing that same thing. And the cool thing is, as you clear it in you, you'll be able to clear that on your team, because you'll be able to share how you worked through it. And you'll also start attracting more and more people who are meeting you at the energy and the vibration that you're at. So this is not just, oh, I like, climbing and hiking, and so I'm going to attract this coaches who like climbing and hiking. No, this goes down at this is so much deeper than that. And so, if you are struggling with advancing rank and you can see things in your coaches, again, clear it in you first, okay? Because your vibe is going out there and it's being magnified back to you by the people who are surrounding you in your life. Okay, number 4, it's simple. No, really, I promise it is simple. We do these webinars and we go to Summit, we go to leadership, and we do all of these things. And we're like, what's the secret to Beachbody? How do I hit Success Club? How do I get to Diamond? How do I do these things? I'm telling you guys, it's the same thing. Is that we have all of these obstacles come up, right? These personal beliefs, these personal stories and limiting stories that we've been telling ourselves that are not true, that we have to clear. And then there's the tension of, I set this goal, and so now I'm in full awareness of where I don't want, that I'm not where I want to be, and that I don't like that feeling, you know? So we do have to work through all of that. But I'm telling you, the activities to get from where you want to be, from where you are, and move forward are so simple. They're so simple. The ways that you clear those stories, those obstacles, those roadblocks in your life, it's simple. How you get to Success Club, how you get to Diamond, it's simple. And here's the thing. You already have the answers. You already know what to do. I went to this Brendon Burchard seminar this last weekend, and we did this very powerful exercise. And I want to hurry and do it with you guys really quick, if that's okay. So everybody, I hope that nobody's driving right now. You've got access to a pen and paper. So I want you to pull out a pen and paper, and we're going to do something really quick here. And I want you guys to close your eyes and just think inward and ask yourself, what is my biggest struggle right now? What is my biggest struggle right now? And I want you to write it down. What is my biggest struggle right now? Okay. Now, I want you to think of somebody that you really admire in your life, someone who has played a significant role. Role model, someone that you look up to. It could be a grandparent, maybe a coach that you had back in high school volleyball. It could be a sponsor. It could be, anybody. It can be a really great friend that you had. I want you to think of somebody, and I want you to think of 3 things, 3 lessons that has taught you, pieces of advice that you could gather from that person you look up to. And write that down. 3 pieces of advice. Life lessons, and it doesn't have to be anything huge. It just be like, my grandpa really taught me hard work always pays off, or, it can be being kind to other people is never time wasted. What did you learn from this person who was so significant in your life? 3 things. I can see Rebecca's driving, so you have permission to think about it in your mind. Not write it down, but I want everyone else writing it down. All right, now I want you to think of yourself 10 years ago. You've been through a lot, and you've had a lot of experiences since then. What have you learned? What 3 pieces of advice would you give yourself 10 years ago? Three pieces of advice you'd give yourself 10 years ago. Maybe save a little money. Read more books. Eat more vegetables. What would you say to yourself 10 years ago? All right, you've got a list of 6 things now, and I want you to add 3 more. I want you to write down 3 things, 3 pieces of advice that you would give somebody, a dear friend, right now. Right now. Try to have it be different than the 3 pieces of advice you gave yourself 10 years ago. What pieces of advice would you give someone else that you have learned that have been significant for you? Three pieces of advice you would give someone else at this point in your life. Okay. Everyone has a list of 9 pieces of advice? Yeah. All right, now I want you to look back at that problem that you asked yourself. You said, what is my biggest struggle right now? Go back to that and read it. And now look at your list. Is the answer written there? Was the answer written in those 9 pieces of advice to your struggle? Yes, no? Kinda? I encourage you guys, maybe in your group or in the thread, to do a little social learning here and maybe share what your 9 pieces of advice were. Because if the answer wasn't there, it was within someone else too. But I strongly suggest that you already have the answer to your struggle, that it came out in those 9 pieces of advice, that you know what to do. But common knowledge is not always common practice, right? Sometimes we just hold ourselves back. And I don't know why. Maybe you think that you have to struggle. Maybe you think you deserve to struggle a little bit longer and to stay in this hard spot a little bit more. But you can let it go. It's time to move forward. And I think it's a good time to just say, you know what? I know what to do and I'm just going to do it. You know what to do to move away from that struggle. Because I'm telling you guys, it's simple. It's simple. It's not a hard answer to your struggle. It may feel like your struggle is so complicated or it's so hard, but I'm telling you the ways to move forward so that you're away from that struggle are simple. I remember working with one of my coaches, and she was a coach for 2 years before she went diamond. And I remember she's very, very smart. And she's an accountant and she works full time, has 2 kids at home. So, I mean, this business is not something she is working, 5 hours a day. She's just working it a few hours a day. But that's not the reason why it took her a long time to go diamond. It took her a long time to go to diamond. Well, I'm saying long time, so relative. 2 years is really not that long. But for her, it felt very long because she would set a goal like, okay, I'm going to do it in these next 2 months. Then I'm going to do it in 2 months, and it just kept not happening. But she was doing all of these very complicated things. She wanted to have this complicated website and then this complicated system for getting her coaches started and all of these things. And I remember when she finally hit diamond, I asked her, I'm like, Holly, what shifted for you? What brought this about that you were finally able to get there and move past the plateau that you've been at? And she goes, Brigitte, all of this time I've just kind of looked at the 3 vital behaviors and been like, whatever. This is back when we only had 3. And she's like, I just kind of looked at it as like, oh, that's really nice, but that can't possibly be all it takes. She's like, there's got to be more. You've got to have like a landing pages and all of this like customer like system for tracking people and a funnel system coming in. And she was like, I just kept thinking it has to be so much more. And she goes, I finally decided I'm going to put the 3 vital behaviors to the test. And I'm just going to just focus on that. And then she got to diamond. Then she started 1-star qualification, and it's just been one of those things that I think that's what happens. Your Beachbody goals, getting there, it's a simple activity to get there. You just have to be consistent in the simple and small and simple things, right? Go read the slight edge, go read the compound effect. But because it's so small and simple, we downplay it and we think it's insignificant. Small and simple does not equal insignificant. In fact, it's very significant, but you have to do it consistently there. You can't give up just because it's simple. But I'm promising you, any struggle that you're facing in life, there's a simple solution, and you already have that within. You already have all of the answers that you need to reach any goal that you set for yourself. The knowledge is already there. You do know. Don't doubt yourself. Don't think I'm missing something. I'm missing knowledge. I'm missing facts that I need to succeed. You're not. You're not missing anything. Everything is there. You just are not aware of it. So open your eyes and say, wow, I really do have the answers to my struggles. I really do know what to do to build this business. I'm just going to do it, and I'm going to listen. Okay? So that's been a big lesson for me in my life. And the last thing I want to share with you is to tap into your refusal energy to channel your passion and energy. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, all of you guys, I'm assuming a lot here, but I'm assuming that you signed up as a Beachbody coach because there was something that you did not like in your life that you wanted to change. And you saw how Beachbody could be a solution for that. Now, am I wrong? Like everyone's like, no, my life is perfect. Okay. I think we join this because we can see, okay, there's something that I don't like that I can see this gives me an avenue to change, or there's something that I want that I can see this is the avenue to get that. There's something that we don't like. Now, here's the thing. The way that you took that action step to get out of that and to sign up as a Beachbody coach is you now said, I refuse to experience this for the rest of my life. You refused, and that caused you to take action. Now, I don't know if, for me in my life, I finally got to that point where I said, I refuse to keep feeling the way that I've been feeling. I refuse to keep living paycheck to paycheck. I refuse to have that experience of going through a bankruptcy again and losing our house and having our cars taken away and not being able to feed my kids. I refuse to have that experience again. And because I tapped into that refusal energy, which is, I'm telling you, one of the most powerful energy sources you will ever tap into. Because I tapped into that refusal energy, I was on fire as a brand new coach. Because I said, I am sick and tired of living my life the way that I had been living it. And that's how I jumped out of the gates and went with this. Now, if you have not yet run out the gates with this business, it's because you have not found what you refuse to feel, experience, or have. Or if you felt at one point in your business so much passion, so much energy for this, and now it's gone, it's because you have forgotten what your refusal energy is. Or you refuse to have something, so now you don't have it. Maybe you reached your goals. Maybe now you have a great income and you used to not. And so now that refusal part is kind of maybe irrelevant, right? And we say, oh, you have to set bigger goals and this and that. Okay, well, more so, you have to find something that you refuse. So what do you refuse? What do you refuse to have, experience, or to, do? Whatever. You have to find something that you refuse. Now, I have gone to some Tony Robbins seminars, and I've been working with this Tony Robbins life coach. And this was the big thing that he helped me with this last year, because I'm telling you guys, like, our life has drastically changed. I mean, we went from only renting, having $4,000 a month coming in, with that being my husband working from 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. at night, and then all day on Saturday. So like the only time my kids even saw their dad was on Sunday, which like breaks my heart to think of how much of their childhood my husband missed. But now he's home, so that's a long memory. That's a long memory away. And the memory of me being depressed and like all of that, that's a long memory away. The memory of having to go return batteries and light bulbs that hadn't been opened yet to Walmart so that we could get money to get diapers and milk for our kids. That's a long memory away. I don't experience that anymore. So, and when I started, I was like, I refuse to keep experiencing this. I am done. This is not how life's supposed to be. And that got me started. So what's keeping me going now? And I can't just keep saying, oh, well, it'd be really nice to make $5 million this year. Okay, well, whatever. Like, that doesn't like fire me up. So where does my passion come for? Where does my energy come for, where I still can wake up with this with passion and energy? And I'm telling you guys, I refuse to live beneath myself. I refuse for my children to not see the potential that they can have. And I refuse to meet God someday and just say like that I didn't do enough to pay it forward. I refuse to have that experience. I refuse to see other people living beneath themselves and to not be aware of their greatest potential. And I have a mission to share that. I refuse to see other people living in the fog that I was living in. So I'm telling you guys, that keeps me going. That is my passion. That is my energy. That is we call it our why. It's your refusal energy. Now here's the thing. Looking at the names, I can see majority of you guys are ladies. I cannot see the phone numbers, if you're men or not. Here's the thing, and this is what the whole Tony Robbins part of it comes into. He talks about so much how there's a female energy and a male energy. Now, you can buy into that or not, but here's the thing. Your female energy is more of that energy of, I want to nurture, I want to take care of my family, I want to just love on people and friendships and connection. We want to feel connected with people and we want to love on them, right? The male energy is more of excuse my words here, but this is the male energy. It really is what it is. I'm going to get shit done. I'm going to get shit done. I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. And it's very take charge, do it, and get it in. Now, here's the thing. In this Beachbody business, you need both. But how do you tap into that male energy when for all of us, it's very natural for us to just want to take care of things. And so the problem is when our kids need us, or there's a trauma or a hard experience that happens in life that you're I'm so torn right now. My family really needs me. And you want to throw the Beachbody business away, but you know that you are called to it for a reason. What are you going to do? And you have to know how to step into that male energy. And how? It's the refusal. The way that you sit there and say, I'm going to get shit done is by saying, I refuse to experience this. Now, you guys have all done this without maybe even awareness because you all signed up. You've all signed up as Beachbody coaches. So there was something in your life that you said, I refuse to have this experience, right? So you know how to tap into that male energy. You guys are powerful, powerful women because you know how to hone into that female energy and connect people, love on people, and gather them and build those relationships and love on them and take care of them. That's so natural for you, and you do that. But you know how to step into your male energy. Now just be more aware of that and more conscious of that and do that when it's needed. When you wake up in the day and you say, I just want to love on my this and just live in my female energy and everything's good right now. And I'm just not waking up with that passion and that energy to get to Beachbody and to get things done. I don't feel like I got to get stuff done. I don't really care. Well, what do you tap into? You got to tap into, what do I refuse? What is the pain that I refuse to experience or have, anymore in my life? So anyways, that has been powerful for me. That's been powerful for my coaches who have felt maybe they got to a plateau and then they're like, all right, now what? Or those coaches who are like, I just can't get started. Refusal energy. So anyways, those are the 5 big things for me in my life that, in this Beachbody business that I can see has been significant for me. The lessons that I've learned through therapy, continued therapy, life coaching, seminars, personal development books, and just plain experience. And so I hope that it adds value for you, that you can see that this is something that's doable for you, and that even if there's just one thing that you pick out from this that you're like, okay, I'm really going to focus on the small and simple things and giving that power. I'm going to focus on making sure that I'm taking care of me and the goose that I am, and taking care of that, or I'm going to tap into my refusal energy, whatever it is that you can see. Hopefully there's something that stands out to you today. And that's it. So Michelle, I'll turn the time back over to you.
Thank you. You might hear fighting in the background because Jack is causing problems. Anyway, wow. Tapping into the refusal energy, that just really spoke to me. I mean, it just makes so much sense. I think that a lot of us do that, but we don't, when you put it that way, it almost makes it more you're actually fighting. versus realizing I don't want to do that again. I don't want to go through that again, but to say, no, I refuse to go through that again. You know, I refuse. So I love that. Thank you so much. And then the Brendon Burchard exercise, man, that was kind of a gut punch. I don't know, was that a gut punch for anybody else? I was like not expecting that. But I think it's probably spot on. That's pretty awesome. Okay. So I would love for you, if you don't mind sharing, what are the top personal development books?
That blue thing like that. Oh, that's what you have to say.
Is someone ask
Margaret needs to be muted. I can't mute her.
Oh, I'll mute her. Okay. But what are your top personal development books that have helped you get out of your own head?
That's a good idea. Good question. One of the top books that I have reread over and over this year many times. Have you guys read The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks? Oh my gosh, you guys are all missing out big time. Like, it's gonna change your life. Like, okay, so The Big Leap, like, I've been listening to that on repeat because it's so good. He talks about how, like, as children, we are told, like, stop crying, you know, by well-meaning parents, you know, who are like, calm down, like, don't act so crazy, or don't cry, it's okay. And like, or they're just basically telling us all the things that we're feeling that we shouldn't feel. And basically in doing so, you're putting these limits on what's socially acceptable, on how happy you can feel. Don't be too happy. Don't jump off the walls and act crazy. Don't be too sad. Don't be too excited. Don't be too happy about yourself, you know, and we put these limits in this box of what we can feel. And so then when we hit that limit, then we do something to bring ourselves back down. So we hit this limit of, I am so happy that I'm not supposed to be happy or above this. So you self-sabotage and you bring yourself back down. And when he calls it upper limiting, like when you upper limit yourself and you say, like, it's also the people who are like, I know what to do and I'm not doing it. Well, why? Why aren't you doing it? It's because you don't think you can. You put a limit on yourself and said, this is as successful as I'm supposed to be. This is as happy as I'm supposed to be in my marriage. This is as happy as I'm supposed to be with other people. This is as sad as I allow myself to feel. Like, whatever it is. Anyways, best mind-blowing book out there. Like, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And he has another book that, like, if anyone struggles with, like, self-love, depression, anything like that, and he wrote that is the cheesiest title of all, but amazing. It's called Learning to Love Yourself. And by Gay Hendricks again, Learning to Love Yourself. Anyone struggling with depression, you got to read that book. Like, that is a very, very significant book that I think should be mandatory reading. Learning to Love Yourself by Gay Hendricks. Probably one of the most all-inclusive books that I feel, another one that I'll listen to on repeat is Success Principles by Jack Canfield. And you guys probably noticed, like, I mentioned spirit and your soul and all that kind of stuff, like, because to me it's all the same. Like, you know, your reason you're drawn to this because your spirit. Anyways, I really like that book because he talks about both sides. So, like, he talks about, like, the business, like, doing it, but he talks about, like, hey, listen to your intuition, listen to your spirit, listen to yourself. And it's the most massive big book, so get it on Audible so you can just listen to it and not be like, I'm reading this manual. It's so all-encompassing. But
and with the Learning to Love Yourself, is that an Audible one? Do you listen to that one on Audible too?
I haven't found it on Audible, so I just got it on Amazon. Okay. The Big Leap is on Audible though. Okay. Yeah, it would probably be like my top 3.
Thank you so much. That's awesome because I have not actually read any of those books.
Yeah, so, really, really good.
Perfect. Well, does anyone have any quick questions before we take off? I know Angie had mentioned some about, like, how do we find the balance between getting to the goal and not burning the candle at both ends? Like, and Angie, get this, is a homeschooling mom of 9.
Wow. 9 kids. I'm impressed. Yeah, I've got some homeschooling moms too. You know, it's a really good question, but again, I'm going to suggest that you do know the answer. You do. You just want it to be approved by somebody else, maybe. Like, I think that's what happens, right? It's like we know what to do, but we just want to know it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, we want to know somebody else gives us the validation that, like, it's okay to go a little slower, or it's okay to hustle hard right now. You know, because I know for me, there were seasons, and I kind of look at that as this business, that there have been seasons where I typically can find that I can do 6 months of a hustle, where that feels good to my spirit to say, I'm going to hustle right now. And I am going to wake up earlier, and I am going to like send out more invites each day. And I'm going to do this. And this is a hustle season, but I can only last for about 6 months doing that. And then I take back and I pull back and I'm like, okay, now I would actually like my house to be clean. And I would like for there to be some more like lunches with my friends and have more of that social connection and to do things in a more sustainable way, you know, and still have the, you know, I'm still hitting my goals. I'm still running challenge groups. I'm still talking to people, but I pulled back so that I'm doing it in a sustainable way, because there's a way to build this business that's sustainable. And there's a way that's like, okay, this is only going to work for a short period of time. And you know that, but I think I see it on both ends, where some people are like, you know what, I really, really, like, something has to change right now for me to reach my goal and to build the momentum to get there. And it's almost like they want permission to hustle. And I'm like, yeah, it's okay if you got dirty laundry. It's okay if you got like dishes in your sink, you know, do your thing, you know, go do it, hustle. And then other times where people are like, you know what, I just can't do that right now. Like, I need to be able to spend more time reading personal development right now. I need to have more time doing this. And you have permission to build this business however you want, you know, and if it takes you, like, I'm going to be consistent in 2 hours a day, and I know it may take me 5 years to get to a 6-figure income, the time's going to pass regardless. You might as well build that 6-figure income over the next 5 years, right? You know, like one of my coaches is a nurse. Like, she's a really intensive nurse. Like, what kind is it? Nurse practitioner. So she's like basically a doctor. And so when she started, she was going to school for nurse practitioner, which is like one of the hardest master degrees you can get. But she was also working as a nurse, like all these swing shifts. And she literally is like, when I work, she can't have the phone. You know, like some people work, but they like can check the phone during lunch break or whatever. That's not for her at all. And so she's literally has built this business in 1 to 1.5 hours a day. But she's still doing this. And every single day, that particular coach sends me her business activity tracker and tells me what she did. And she's been with me for 4 years now, but she's a Star Diamond coach, you know, and she earns probably $35,000, $40,000 a year. And after 4 years, some people may be like, oh, that's not very much, or that's like a failure. I look at her as a success, because she's done this in literally an hour a day, hour and a half a day, and has just said, you know what, that's what is my best. I'm not comparing myself to what the best of Brigitte Linford is, where she was able to spend more than an hour and a half a day. But it's not all or nothing. You find what your rhythm is and know that that's okay. And the time's going to pass regardless. So do you. I don't know if that helps.
That's perfect. No, I love it. Thank you so much. And thank you for just coming and sharing your heart on our call and all your tips. I was getting some messages about how this is just really touching the hearts of some of my coaches. So, and definitely mine. I needed to hear this stuff today. But thanks for taking the time out of your day and your vacation and, you know, pouring life into my team. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me on, guys. I hope that this has been helpful.
Oh, absolutely. All right. We'll see you later. Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming on the call.